Hello and welcome to another video where I will be replacing the engine mounts on this 720,000 mile Volvo S80. Some of you might have noticed on my first video where I did an appraisal of this car and did a test drive that there was quite a lot of vibration that was seen on camera, especially on the interior shots while I was driving along, and especially when I was pulling out. There was quite a lot of vibration, and even some of you have noted that the engine mounts were due for a replacement. And to be perfectly honest, I think you guys were not wrong at all. After some investigation, I concluded that the main culprits would be the front and the rear mounts, and also the torque rod which is under the engine. This car comes with 5 engine mounts. This one here on the top, which connects to the strut bar. I did make a comment when I did the second video appraisal that this was quite wobbly, but I was told that it is pretty normal. I also did mention that this was splitting, but also I've been told by several Volvo owners that this one wouldn't influence too much on the vibration of the engine, that it was more for in case of a front collision, and then prevents the engine to intrude the passenger area, so it basically tilts forward, something like that. So the other 4 mounts are one on the side, on the driver's side, which is that one over there, plus a rear mount which is located just over there where I'm pointing, where that nut is, just under. And then there's one here just over there. These two front and back, they are vacuum operated, and you could see that there is there you go. You could see here that there's a vacuum hose in here, a T-piece union that connects, so that one over there goes to the back, this one to the front, and this one connects to this valve here, this solenoid valve here. And probably because both the front and the back mounts have gone bang, that's probably why this was sealed off, because if the vacuum is not being held properly, this will have an influence on the operation of the turbo and so on. Basically, I think the solenoid operates from around 1250 RPM. I'm not 100% sure. That cuts, basically stops producing vacuum. It cuts out and basically stiffens the mounts. And then the last and 5th mount is this one here, and that's the torque rod which connects the gearbox to the subframe. Now this one in here I've replaced already. It doesn't look like new, but that's due to the fact that I replaced it with a second-hand unit, but I will get onto that in a short moment. So there you go, 5 engine mounts that these cars come with, and I'm going to replace 3 of these. So that will be the lateral one, plus the front and the rear ones. So these are the mounts that I'm going to put on the Volvo. This is the front one, and this is the rear one. The rear one is can be distinguished by this rubber membrane in here, and the front one doesn't have the rubber membrane. But although they look very, very similar, they are actually a bit different if we look into certain details. This spout here, where it bolts down, is actually, this one is slightly narrower compared to the front one, and also this recess in here, where probably that's where it slots into place, is a slightly different angle by the look of it. If we look at this strap here. It's a slightly different angle. So there you go. And I bought these through Autodoc. Some of you might say and might ask yourselves, why haven't I spent a bit more on Volvo original parts, or even in parts from Fabi or Lemforda? And the reason is, although these parts are essential in a car, if they fail, they won't cause any, they are less likely to cause any engine malfunction and breakdown. I rather spend the extra money that I save on these into other quality parts that can have a direct influence on the way the engine runs, such as belts, glow plugs, oil filters, and so on, so on, so on. So, and money is really tight these days, so I have to really count my pennies at the moment. The only bit that I've bought original from Volvo, and this was still £130, was the side engine mount. I simply couldn't find anywhere else, and the trouble with the D5252T engine is that they were sold in lower quantities compared to to other engine cars, and also their mounts seem to be slightly different. Like this one here, for example, most lateral lower engine mounts, the both holes are vertical, and this one is angled. And the same issue I found with the lower torque rod. I thought I was clever, and I bought, oh, there's so many of them, they all look the same, let me just go and buy it. Until I found out that it wasn't really like that. You see, all of them, particularly for most of petrol and diesel engines, after the D5252T, they seem to be pretty straight. But for this car, no. You see, they are a slight angle, the holes, and slightly recessed around here, so that it fits under the gearbox. No way this will fit under. I tried and I couldn't do it. So in the end, I couldn't find the original part. I couldn't find the no motor factors that will sell this one, the original one. So I actually end up finding auto recycling center had one like this in excellent condition, and this one I fitted, because this one here is completely shot, you see. But it didn't make a massive difference to the vibration of the car. The difference that it made was very, very minimal, and this one was very, very easy to fit, and I'm going to show you how. To remove the lower torque mount, it's actually fairly straightforward. You undo these two nuts with an 18 socket, and then these two bolts here with a number 14 ring spanner. I tried with a socket, but I didn't have enough length here to fit the socket in here, so I just use one of these, and I managed to undo them in the end. Of course, if it's too stuck, then use some penetrating fluid, same as in here as well. And then they just simply, this one just lift up and remove it, very easy, and then replace it again. Don't forget to put some thread lock on the screws at the rear, and some also here on the nuts, and that's it. That's very straightforward. This one in here, it's not as straightforward. I have to remove this regardless anyway, to remove the lateral and front and rear engine mounts, but also there's a couple of things that I have to remove in here to get access to the bolts, because it has quite a bit of an angle. It's basically like A-shaped, where one bit goes to this side of the crankcase and the other bit to the other side, but I will be doing that at another time. But this one is not really crucial to the engine vibration that we feel in the cabin when I'm pulling out. Now I'm going to remove the lateral one, and you've seen in here that I've already done some of the work. Of course, lifting the car, putting everything in axle stands, also putting the tires underneath just for extra safety, and of course choke the rear wheel. It's also for extra safety, since the rear handbrake is not really in the best of condition, and that really stops any risks of accidents. Now this one in here, by the look of it, it doesn't really seem to be in that bad condition. I've noticed that there was no cowling or anything like that covering this area. I'm not sure if there's something missing in here. Oh, it's quite bright in here. I'm not sure if there's something missing or not. So hopefully some of you will be able to tell me. So what I'm going to do is to remove the strut brace first, just undo all the bolts in here, and then I will start to undo these two bolts, and at the same time also I'll be doing putting the trolley jack underneath with a block of wood and slowly starting to lift, just really so that it doesn't drop when I'm about to remove it. Now I'm just going to give this a little bit of a clean. I don't think I will need a penetrating fluid for this one, because with the amount of oil that has been falling in here, I don't think there will be much place for corrosion. And but from this one here, might be a little bit trickier. I'm going to use a number 17 spanner. It is absolutely caked in oil. No wonder it was easy to remove. Yeah. Another that was very easy to remove. Now I've positioned the trolley under the sump with a block of wood, and just really for support really. I'm not really lifting the engine with the trolley. This will enable me to basically remove those two bolts without the engine to drop, and basically to slot back into place very easily. So I've just lifted very slightly the engine, and you can see in here, although the rubber doesn't seem to be too much of a bad shape, it's starting to split around this area. So, and that's in here, yeah. In here, although to be honest I've seen worse, but it's always good to replace anyway, because this at one point it will definitely go. The amount of oil here is absolutely insane. The residue is a lot really, so I'm just trying to clear this up as much as possible in order to fit the new part easily in place. I tell you what, this subframe will take a long time to get rusty. Pulling up these recesses in here, because that's where these are going to slot into. So for the front mount, I have two places where I have to unbolt them. I have here on the top and I have also at the bottom where it is bolted onto the subframe. First, I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to use a number 14 socket just through that hole over here. You'll see the mount over there. So number 14 socket, and I'm going to start to undo the nut. Not going really to show you to you because can't do this with just one hand. Okay, here we go. First one has been removed. Now in here I have quite a lot of stuff in the way. You see the mount, you have this box with things on cables that I can't get at, that I just don't know how to remove really. I think it might clip onto the frame itself, but here it is, the nut that I have to remove, which is a number 15. So I think that the only way for me to do it is using a ratchet that has a bit of an angle with it. So let's see how it goes. Oh, this is actually easier than I thought. Weird. I guess the amount of oil is making things a little bit easier to remove. Well, there's always a plus. Remove the vacuum pipe. There you go, done. It has a little spout that I have to preserve. Now, what I'm going to do is to lift the engine and try to remove from underneath. Okay, so I have made a mistake. You can see here they already extracted the front engine mount, but in order to remove it, it's not just simply the point of having to lift the engine. I have to unbolt the lateral mount as well, because otherwise I won't be able to lift it, and I need, in order to wriggle it out, because basically wedged between the engine and the subframe. And I also, before I remove it, I remove this vacuum. Oh, this is terrible to this vacuum connector, and then I managed to remove it from the engine itself, and you could see it's very, very crusty. This is the original Volvo 1, and looking at the date in here, it looks like it was made in around 1999. Unbelievable, eh? So basically this is about 23 years old. It's actually older than the car itself. Come on, focus. And so now I'm going to finally put the new one, which is right here. Nice shiny new one, and basically it will go just like that, this position where the vacuum pipe will go in here. So that's it. I'm going to try basically just wedge it in and connect everything again. So another day, another dollar, and yesterday I have absolutely no chance of removing the rear mount. The trouble is, that the rear mount is supported in a very awkward area. So I have to remove the bracket that supports the catalytic converter mounts, and let me try to focus this. So here's the subframe, and here is the anti-roll bar. And over there where I'm pointing with the extension, that's where it that's where the bolt for the rear mount, here it is, that's where the bolt for the rear mount goes. But there is no room between these two surfaces in here, so the only way to do it was with a socket and a universal joint. So this was the only way really to get some angle, because otherwise it's just absolutely impossible to go anywhere it, and have to wedge it through there, fits through here, and then with the extension plug, and then I was managed to crack this bolt open. There's absolutely no room. I tried with a ring spanner, it didn't work at all, and I think it's just because the mount for the D5252T is slightly more awkward position and probably a little bit more difficult compared to other petrol and diesel S80s. So yeah, sorry, the video is a bit crap, but it is very difficult to film completely crouched under the car and with just one hand. Now I'm going to undo the top bolt, lift the engine up, and carry on with install. Nut. You notice that I have removed completely the top strut mount because I just wanted to get access to the rear to install a new hose, and also to clean the intake pipe, which was an absolute mess, absolutely caked in grease. There's still some grease on it anyway, but it is much better now. So it's here drying, and hopefully it will be a little bit more pleasant when I go and pop it back in the car again. Now I am carefully lifting the engine, just to remind that nut needs to be removed, otherwise it won't lift properly, and that one has already been removed as well, and obviously the one on the right hand mounts also have been removed so that I can lift the engine properly. I'm doing this very slowly, so that it's lifting a bit from the mount, and it's already removed from that area there. Now I'm going underneath and try to remove it. Well, this actually only took me 30 seconds to remove from underneath. I just had to slide it off, jiggle it around. Ooh, it's very windy in here. Bloody hell, this area is a pain in the backside to do any recordings, because the wind just gets everywhere. So here we go, and you could see the state of it. It is absolutely, there's several cracks in there, as you can see in there. So I think primarily the fail on this was the main cause of failure. I think probably the one in the front already was near its end, but I think this one has definitely gone completely. You can see all the cracks, and also the strap that goes from here to here It's completely gone. Okay. Let's see how. Oh my god! Oh yes, I can't even squeeze it with my hand. Oh well, time to put a new one. And here it is. Oh, quite a bit of a difference, I say. Yeah. You can see that this one, it looks like a little bit taller than the old one. I'm not sure, but it could be that this one has been compressed so much. So this one should be fun to put back in. So again, I'm not going to be able to film this, but you get the drift. Try to fit it from underneath, and I might have to raise the engine just a tad more. And as you can see there, the thread where the nut, the thread that belongs to the engine mount is already there. So it was actually quite easy. It took just about a couple of minutes just to fit in, just to wriggle in sideways. Don't forget to put that heat shield on the engine mount, because that is essential in order to keep the heat away from the mount itself. I don't know what happened with the sound, but I'm doing a voiceover now. Here I am explaining what I have done, which is basically to tighten the bolt at the bottom of the rear mount, and then I started to lower the engine so that the threads of both front and rear mounts line up with their mounting holes. And then after that I started to put their top nuts back into place, and all nicely lined up also with the side mount as well. And then I started to put the bolts back in, but it was only finger tight. And then what I'm going to do now is to finally lower the engine and then connect the front and rear vacuum pipes. Right, the trolley jack is off, and I've tightened all the nuts a little bit more, so it's all nice and tight. Now I'm going to connect the vacuum hoses, which okay, they are a little bit all over the place. Oh gosh, where have I put them? There's one there. There's, ooh, have I found it? Is that the one? Yes. There is one there, and if I follow the T-piece in there, and here it is. Okay, and the front one is in place now, which will then connect to another hose that will connect to this solenoid here. But first I'm going to put all the piping back into place that I've cleaned up, and it's fully dried now, and I think that's the end of it, really. So much better now, pulling away in first. Before, used to have that judder that used to shake the car quite a bit actually. But then, after the change of the engine mounts, oh, things really improved. Actually, the drivability of the car improved massively. It's actually feels actually quite a different car. And some of the shake that you see, that's because this road is a little bit bumpy, and also because the phone is mounted on one of those windscreen mounts that are not really that great. It's just really good to hold the phone, not really for recording any videos or anything like that. Well, so that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like to, please like and subscribe. There you go, sir. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care.